Welcome to Murder with the Missus. I'm Darren.
And I'm Amy. And today we're going to tell you about Lauren Johansen.
Don't forget to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Podbean, and Facebook. Like, share, subscribe. Make sure to hit the notification bell so you get the new episodes whenever they drop. And tell your friends as always.
Big trigger warning for this one regarding domestic violence. Some of the quotes will be describing some stuff that may be hard for some to hear, including things from the abuser himself. But it is important to paint the picture of what happened in this case and the type of person the abuser is. Safety first. So if this one's not for you, we'll see you on the next one. 22-year-old Lauren was from Hattiesburg, Mississippi. She was working to be an RN, then go on to be a nurse practitioner so she could take care of people. But she wasn't stopping there. She loved animals just as much, so she also had dreams to open an animal rescue one day. She took her dog, Bentley Joe, and cat, Marley, everywhere with her. She even had a rescue horse named Coco, which her dad said she would probably take the horse with her too if she could fit it in her car. Her boyfriend was 23-year-old Bryson Rivers from Saucier, Mississippi. This relationship was very bad. There were multiple instances of domestic violence, and her family had tried all they could to keep her away from him. But outsiders can only do so much. Lauren would always go back.
They were so young, too.
They're so young, 22 and 23. It's so young. Now, on December 7th of 2023, they went to Nashville for vacation. And this is the starting point for a devastating chain of events. On December 11th, they went to the Frist Art Museum and Topgolf before going back to their Airbnb to get ready to go out. They went to a local bar to watch a football game, and at the bar, Bryson accused Lauren of flirting with the bartender, even going as far as to say she had sex with him in the bathroom. So an argument started, and they left the bar. According to the arrest affidavit, as they were driving, Bryson was slapping and punching Lauren and took her phone so she couldn't call for help. She pleaded for him to pull over, but he wouldn't. When he finally did, he pulled into a parking lot. Now, she had a pistol in her bag in the back seat, but she couldn't get to it because he was holding her down. She said she would kick, scream, and honk the horn whenever she saw a vehicle drive by. He held his forearm against her throat until she saw black and got dizzy. She managed to get her phone and make a recording, and this is over 11 minutes of what she was going through in that vehicle. Bryson can be heard saying things like, "If you move at all tonight, I swear you're not waking up tomorrow." He said he would kill her and hide the body, saying nobody's going to be able to find you, baby. After she starts swelling up because he's been hitting her with his fist and that pistol, you can hear him say, "Your head is swollen up like a fucking bowling ball. I have mental problems. I have issues. I have been holding everything back trying to work with you." She was finally able to make a call with that phone. Her dad, Dr. Lance Johansen, ended up calling 911. The Metro Nashville Police Department was able to ping her phone and track down the vehicle. When Officer Harbin came up to the vehicle, he could hear Lauren kicking and screaming for help. They opened the door, and the immediate sight is Bryson on top of Lauren. Both are covered in blood, including the inside of the car, and Lauren jumped out wearing only her underwear.
Lauren's blonde hair was completely red from all the blood. She had a cut on her forehead. One of her eyes was swollen shut, and her face was badly beaten.
Yeah.
Now, whenever you said she was able to make a phone call, wasn't it to like his mom, and then she?
Yeah, reports are that she called his mom, and then his mom called her dad, and then he's the one who called 911.
Okay.
Yeah, so it was like a whole
thing,
whole circle. But luckily, she was able to make that call because who knows how that night would have ended. Now, the pictures are online from her at the hospital that night. Her eye, nose, lips, and the whole left side of her face and head is swollen. It's really bad. She was hospitalized for 2 days. Bryson had no injuries, but his mugshot is also online, and it shows blood on his face all down under his eyes, just making him look even more sinister. He was held on 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, 1 count of aggravated stalking, and 1 count of coercion of a witness. On the 18th, at his bond hearing, Lance was there. He begged the judge not to let Bryson out. He said, "I sat in the courtroom in Nashville and told the judge that if they let him out, he was going to kill her. He had assaulted her. This was probably the 5th or 6th time where they would get into a fight and he would beat her. We would get her away from him for a while, but he would find a way to weasel back in it. But bond was set for $250,000. Lance says that Lauren told him, if he gets out and kills me, please find a way to take care of, and then she lists like all the names of her animals and her family, including him. Bryson requested a reduced bond 3 months later in March. In April, saying that because Bryson had no priors against him, Judge Cheryl Blackburn approved a reduced bond to $150,000 with conditions. Bryson was ordered not to leave Davidson County, Tennessee. He was not to have contact with Lauren. He was not allowed to have a weapon of any kind, and he had to wear a GPS ankle monitor. They also stipulated that he was to get this ankle monitor with tracking solutions, but their office closed at 4 each day. So another condition was that he was not to be released after 4 p.m. when he did post bond, so that he would be able to immediately get his ankle monitor fitted. His mom would make a plea with the court to clear the conditions in May so that he could come back to Mississippi to live, but that was denied.
The judge was like, nope, I said what I said.
I said what I said. And that's, they make sense to me. Those all seem like good conditions. Now, to keep the timeline, on June 4th of 2024, Bryson's assigned probation officer sent a copy of the judge's order to Tracking Solutions. She requested that they email the DA's office to get the addresses for the exclusion zones that were set by the court. She also provided the court with the address in Davidson County that Bryson would be staying in. Bryson had contacted Lauren many times while in jail at this time, because he was in there for 7 months. In fact, just days after the arrest is when he made his first call to her, telling her that she needed to tell them that she was drunk, that she had hit her head on the dash and continued banging her head on the window, telling her, quote, say that a military career will straighten him out, because he said he wanted to join the Air Force. Say that probation and classes will help a lot. I've never really had a chance. You already know what to do, baby. If they put them on file or standby, I will go to them. They accept people with cuts on their hands and shit. They exchanged I love yous before getting off the phone. They put signs up next to these phones in the jail saying that the calls are recorded. Everybody knows that phone calls are recorded when you're in jail. So why he would be trying to talk her into lying to the court on his behalf is beyond my comprehension. On Monday, June 24th, Bryson bonded out of jail. According to Brooke Harlan, owner of Brooks Bail Bonding, her office posted bond at 1:30 p.m. at the State Warrant and Bonding Office in the downtown jail. The agent was given a 1-page document stating that the defendant is responsible for all costs associated with the ankle monitor, and the agent signed it. Bryson was released from the Maximum Correctional Center on Harding Place, which is separate, at 4:05 p.m. on his own to self-report to get his ankle monitor. So 2 things here. 1, the court was specific that he not be released after 4 because Tracking Solutions would be closed, yet they let him walk out the door at 4:05. And 2 is that we know someone personally in Oklahoma who bonded out with requirements that they had an ankle monitor, and they tried to make them stay in jail for a couple of days after they bonded out because the person that the jail wanted to equip the monitor was on vacation. Yeah, no, not my problem. Luckily, their lawyer was there and had to threaten unlawful detainment if they couldn't get someone else there to put the ankle monitor on. And this was a nonviolent offender, but they let Bryson out alone to take himself to get an ankle monitor on what? The honor system? What the hell?
Bryson called Brooks Bail Bonding at 4:36, according to Brooke. An agent picked him up, but it was around, now it was around after 5.
Yeah, we're already past 5 o'clock now.
Yeah, which is way past the time that they close.
Way past. So there was definitely nobody there. So he did do the right thing there because he could have just left. He could have walked away. But what happens next is just as bad. The agent took him to another monitoring company, Freedom Monitoring Services. This business was started on June 17th, so it had only been in business for literally a week. Allegedly, the owner of this business also worked at Brooks Bail Bonding. Freedom says that the bond order was not available when Bryson was brought in. Remember, it was sent to Tracking Solutions, not to Freedom. So what did they do? Well, they just asked Bryson. This place is putting too much into the defendant of a very violent crime to be on it. Bryson obviously told them that he was allowed to go home to Mississippi, so there were no restrictions set on the tracking perimeter for his ankle monitor. Now, Freedom did get the bond paperwork on Friday the 28th. At 5 p.m. that day, they also got a no communication alert from Bryson's GPS monitor. They called him, telling him to come back in immediately to be fitted with a new monitor. Bryson's probation officer reached out to Tracking Solutions, and that is when she found out that Bryson had never showed up there. And that is when Tracking Solutions found out that Bryson had bonded out already. So they sent a violation report to the DA's office. The DA's office notified the court, but also called Lance. They left a voicemail saying, "This is Bailey calling from the district attorney's office in Nashville. Bryson Rivers was released from custody. He was supposed to report straight to the GPS company and be put on a GPS monitor, and he was not to leave Davidson County. But as soon as he was released, he did not report to that GPS monitoring company, and he has not been heard from. I wanted to make sure Lauren is safe."
Sadly, Lance did not listen to the voicemail until Monday.
Right. So he didn't get it. I mean, I'm sure he had it, but he didn't listen to it. And Bryson did come into Freedom on Saturday for his new GPS monitor around 4 p.m. And even though they had gotten the bond order the day before, they put this new monitor on him, and it did not contain any perimeter restrictions. Monday, July 1st, Freedom says Bryson's monitor battery went down to 6%. So they called him at 10:09 p.m. telling him to charge it, and he did. Then around midnight, Bryson called them back saying he wouldn't be at court later that day because he didn't have a ride. Remember that this is also the day that Lance finally heard that voicemail about Bryson being out. He said, "I called Lauren immediately and she was still alive. When I called her and told her, she already heard." Early the next morning at around 4:01 a.m., Lance got a notification from Life 360 saying Lauren's tracker was turned off. Her sister, Caitlin, showed up at her house and found the front door open with Bentley Joe, Marley, and 3 shelter cats in the front yard, and the security camera had been ripped off the house. The family reported her missing 2 times that day to the Hattiesburg Police Department. Freedom Monitoring says that Bryson's battery started going down at around 10 a.m., and he did not respond to their messages throughout the whole day. They called his mom, but she hadn't heard from him or seen him. The court issued a warrant for him for violating court orders after they found out that he had been in Mississippi since June 24th, the very day he was released from jail, and that he was using the wrong GPS company.
Bryson's last location before the monitor battery died was on Beach Boulevard in Biloxi.
Right, so they know he's in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And when his battery reached 0%, that is when Freedom alerted the probation office and bonding company. Wednesday comes around and Lance and the family are frantic. Lance said that the police did not start searching for Lauren's car until around 3 p.m. on Wednesday after he called again. Bryson had a phone. Lauren had a phone. Her car had OnStar. He needed them to use their resources to find a location. Finally, they did. They located the car at Wolf River Cemetery in Harrison County. HPD requested help from Harrison County Sheriff's Department to conduct a welfare check. A deputy finds the car and witnesses Bryson allegedly running from the vehicle into the woods. Lauren's body is sadly found in the car, wrapped in sheets and trash bags. There was a several-hour manhunt involving reportedly 55 officers from 8 different agencies. It ended with them luring Bryson out of the woods, and he was booked into the Harrison County Adult Detention Center on a $1 million bond. It is believed that Lauren died on Tuesday, July 2nd. But according to Mississippi officials, autopsy records, especially those connected to homicide cases, aren't considered public record in their state. So there's a lot of information that we don't know. But Lance does, because he was there. He said, "I can't explain to you the beating that this man did to my daughter. He beat her so badly that her skull and her face pretty much became fractured from the rest of her body. He basically beat her until the front of her head came off. No human being deserves to have this happen to them. Bryson is going to have his evidentiary hearing on August 15th, but the process will likely be a long one, and I didn't want to wait to get this case out there in case some haven't heard it. Lauren's story is very important to tell.
A lot of shit went wrong in this one. The court, the bonding company, the tracking company. So many people failed this girl. The tracking company, they should have called the court.
Just call the jail and be like, hey.
Call the jail and be like, what's the stipulations?
Are there any?
What are the restrictions?
Yeah.
This is something that, cover your ass.
Exactly.
This is just something that, that they should have took care of on their own end.
Because it cost someone their life.
Because just like you said before, it's like they was going off just his word. Why the fuck would you believe the person that's getting the ankle monitor?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, I can go anywhere I want.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go, to another country here for too long.
Yeah, and the court said that's cool.
Yeah, it's all good.
The whole thing is bullshit. Like I said, here in Oklahoma, we knew that person that they wouldn't even let them leave the jail, even though they had bonded out and were a free person.
Yeah.
They were like, no, you're not leaving till you get an ankle monitor. And then here in Tennessee, just like a couple months ago, they're like, oh, it's fine. Go ahead. You're great.
Yeah, do you, boo?
Yeah. Do you need help calling an Uber? Because he left on his own. He had nobody there to pick him up. And they're just like, okay, bye.
Yeah.
Not my problem anymore.
And what's bad, didn't the bond company take him to them?
Yeah, so he called his bond company.
Yeah.
Or the bail company. Yeah.
And
they came and picked him up and took him to the tracker.
The bond company had his restrictions. They had everything on file. They had to have.
Actually, remember what I said? When they said they signed that bond paperwork, that when they posted his bond, they only showed them one page. We'll find out here in a minute.
Oh, okay.
That it was actually more than one page. So this is what I'm saying. It was failure after failure after failure. And there's so many. Because,
most bond companies gets like a whole dossier on their people that they're bonding out.
As well, they should.
Charges, everything. Because if they have to go hunt them down.
Exactly. They're going to need all that information.
They got to know what they're going up against.
Very true. Very true. And there was a lot of finger pointing in this one too. Because the bond company's like, the clerk was the problem. And the clerk's like, the bond company, it's their job to know. And so it's just a whole thing. Now, like I said, the bonding company said the clerk didn't provide them with full conditions of the release. And the clerk said that it is the full responsibility of the bonding company to know the conditions before they sign someone out. Because you have to think too, they're the ones signing for this person to be responsible for this person. Like you said, you'd want to know. And remember, I told you that there was only one page. So what they had done, according to the bonding company, is they were given page 2, which is where the signature would go. And the only thing listed on page 2 was that monetarily, it was all on the defendant to pay for his ankle monitor. But it's page 1 where all the stipulations were listed. So now I question what the bond form looks like. Was it obvious that this was a continuation of another page? Like, does the first line start mid-sentence? Could it have been obvious that it was more than one page?
Did it say like page 2 of 2?
Page 2 of 2, right. So I think it really depends on what that form looked like too. And I'm sure that'll come out in court. But either way, the order setting the hearing for his evidentiary hearing on August 15th shows that the bonding company is ordered to appear. So they're going to have to answer some questions with the judge, and I'm sure that's going to come up. And Brooks Bail Bonding has cameras outside of their building, showing that 4 days before Lauren was killed, Bryson came in, and there was a blonde woman in the passenger seat that they say was Lauren. Well, if that's the case, then he pulled up to the bonding office, violating bond conditions. He wasn't supposed to have any contact with her. But that's also a thing of how she probably already knew when he had been bonded out. Because remember when her dad called her, she had already known that he was out. She didn't say she was with him, but now they're saying she was with him. And now hold on to your biscuits, because a few weeks ago, Chief Deputy Clerk Julius Sloss did a news interview admitting fault in their system. And I know that it doesn't change the outcome here, but it was kind of nice to hear an official admitting some fault. He said that they are implementing a step in the system that will show before you can even print the bond paperwork, asking if you're sure that there are no bond restrictions if none are listed. But that wasn't the issue in this case. He had conditions. They just weren't enforced. And while a pop-up notification could hopefully save lives in the future, maybe put a little more into training your employees too on what to look for, what to show the people when they're signing, things along those lines. Because we've had minor paperwork before that we've had to acknowledge multiple times, things that are relatively pointless. So surely they can figure out a better system to ensure the safety of the public from violent people like him, since they're just going to let him out on the streets anyway.
That's another thing. They allowed bond because he had no priors. Mm-hmm. But did he have priors?
He did have priors.
Yeah.
So he didn't have priors in Tennessee, and he didn't have priors for violent offenses. But he did have some priors in Mississippi. He had charges from 2021 and 2022 for DUI and possession. So maybe they meant because they weren't violent? But either way, why risk it? They saw what he did to her in Nashville. The police caught him in the act. So they have what most would see as a very credible eyewitness of what he's capable of. But they not only let him out, they trusted him to be released on his own, to get his own ankle monitor, to tell them about his restrictions. Get your head out of your ass. At his bond hearing in Mississippi, Bryson was asked if he was out on bond at the time of the murder. And he said, no, not to my knowledge. Huh? So you don't remember bonding out of jail at all? I swear. There's the thing to me about liars is when people continue to lie when they know there's proof. Like they're not going to see that he was on bail, that he got out on bail. Like it's easily proven. So why lie in court? They're going to, okay.
Probably figures, hell, I got away with it once. Let's try it again.
And that's another problem. We're giving these people this false sense of just being good people. Anyways, Lance said in part, this man is not done killing people. And if he has a chance, he'll kill somebody in jail. And I tend to agree with that. He seems to not be the slightest bit remorseful when he's doing it, based on what we heard on that recording from the Nashville altercation. He seems to be just fine with hurting other people. Now, the Debbie and Marie Domestic Violence Protection Act was passed by the Tennessee General Assembly and did take effect on July 1st of this year. Now, this was after he was already released, but he still had to get that ankle monitor. And that's what this is. It requires some suspects accused of domestic violence to wear GPS monitors as a bail condition before trial. And it's named after Debbie Sisko and her daughter, Marie Varsos. I hope I said that right. In 2021, Marie's estranged husband was arrested for choking and holding her at gunpoint. When he was released on bond, he stalked Marie at her mom's home and then fatally shot them both. So as you can see, this is a recurring thing. This is not just a one-off. This is something that these abusers do regularly.
Well, a protection order is a piece of paper.
Yep.
And an ankle monitor is a device to alert when someone is in a restricted area or outside of their area.
Allowed area, yeah.
These are both things that you need,
mm-hmm.
but don't expect them to prevent anything.
No.
People need to take the steps for their own protection.
100%. 100%. Because that piece of paper doesn't do anything to stop them from doing something.
Yeah.
They would have to be an honest person.
That girl right there, she should have never went home. She should have went to family's house or something.
Shuffle her from family to family so she's not in one spot.
There should have been ways. There should have been all kinds of stuff been done.
If they want to go, though, they have their own free will.
Yeah.
And I'm sure they tried to get her to stay with somebody, but she had gone back so many times. This is battered women syndrome at this point. Like she felt like this was what she had. This was her life. But
they dropped the ball on everything. I was the family, I mean, I would definitely go after him.
Oh, I'm sure Lance will. He's
Yeah.
very verbal. He's very active in this case.
I mean, even if he ain't going after him for the money or anything like that, at least, just for the purpose.
Oh, you mean like if they do a wrongful death suit?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that right there, the guy should have never gotten out.
Never.
And then he shouldn't have been let out on his own to go and take care of things, because obviously he ain't, capable of taking care of things on his own. No.
Well, I mean, he sure did, but he did it in his benefit.
Without being violent.
Well, he did it.
Or lying.
Yeah, he's going to lie because he's going to do what works for him. And that was best for him. Now, one of the first things suggested in cases like this is to block the person. If they can't get in contact with you, it's harder for them to weasel their way back into your life. And then you go from there. Come to terms that things need to change. Make a safety plan. There are many places that can help, and there's a lot of online information and resources. Use them. That's why they're there. And you can call 1-800-799-SAFE or text the word START to 88788.
All right, well, that's the end of this one. Don't forget to tell your friends, tell everybody. We need subscribers.
Sign it up.
All right. Till next time.
Bye.